Hello, good afternoon. My name is Abimbola Adelakun. I'm assistant professor in the African and African Diaspora Studies, the University of Texas at Austin. Today I'm going to be talking about some part of my work. My research is in Pentecostalism as performance, and I study also spirituality, generally the politics of spirituality. And what I'm going to be looking at today is an aspect of Pentecostal politics, which is spiritual warfare, and how a milieu of militarization in global and local societies has inflected the ways we think of fighting spiritual battles and how they translate into political mobilization effort. And so today the title of this video is Lord Banish the Dragon from the East, COVID-19, 5G technology and Cold War by other means. And so around early March in year 2020, after some countries in Africa began to record cases of the respiratory disease COVID-19 that had started in Wuhan, China, they started to lock down their cities and international hubs. Now, the situation was so unprecedented in modern history that it not only shook people everywhere, it led to conspiracy theorists internationally, fear mongering, apocalyptic imagination, and intensive spiritual contest. So, in this presentation, I want to explore how the reenactment of the struggle for dominance that characterized the Cold Wars through the various narratives and prayers of spiritual warfare being espoused by Nigerian churches to confront the pandemic. And so, in the prayers led by pastors of different churches, especially the mega churches, they divined that COVID-19 was a satanic attack against the church and also against the U.S. Christian President Donald Trump, who they believe is committed to upholding the rights and privileges of Christians around the world. And so you have pastors that started praying against China. And there was this particular church, a very large church that has branches internationally, who urged the congregation to pray against the dragon from the east. And we know that it's a subtle reference to China through its national symbol, the dragon. And some other pastors were far less sublime in their approach to attacking China. They said it openly that COVID-19 was a Chinese attack on the world and that China was set it up to take over world leadership, that they released the virus into the world so that they could become the world leaders, and that people must pray against it to resist this form of biological warfare. And so the result of all this factor was that it divided people into camps, those that support the Christian USA and those that support the godless China and other secularists. And so here is it. Since 2018, a number of writers have expressed fears that there will be another Cold War between the US and China over the 5G technology. And my submission is this: if when that battle is fought again, the main contenders, the US and China, if they need to expand their sphere of influences in places like Africa where they once fought their proxy wars, they will succeed or fail based on the political mobilization that spiritual warfare would have done on their behalf. And so when I talk about spiritual warfare, I'm talking basically about the central activity of prayer, the nature of prayer, that its inspiration is always a sum of lived experiences that are articulated in discourses of spirituality. And so it's usually not just only prayers that are political, they're also very performative. It's very dynamic, it's oral performance, it's theology, it's body actions, it's ritual actions, it's biblical incantation, and also a spontaneous reflective practices of the believer and deploying this form of spiritual engagement. And so this prayer, it translates to meaning making and sensual alertness, for daily lived experiences, navigation of contending realities, reorientation, and subsequent information of partisan political perspectives, ideological tooling and aspirations of redemption. So in this meeting of fervent worship, you find that a lot of current affairs debate issues get interpolated and they feature as means of understanding complicated world situation. and also preempting its effect on their lives. So when the people pray that banish the dragon from the east, it means they've taken sides with the USA, and they've come to believe that a US victory in contest between these two global giants served their purposes. And so here are four reasons that I think that explains why some of these sentiments, it's not just people praying, but four things explaining. One is symbols and mythology, and second is international politics. The third is interface of local politics with global issues, and then the fourth is the moral panic that new technology produces in people. And so the first one about symbols and mythology is the fact that China uses a dragon as its national totem. And for people that believe in the Bible literally, a dragon is one of those creatures that was conquered in the Bible. And so it made this made it easy to put China within the framework of supernaturalism, their self-iconization. And so if those that needed to offload the anxieties of the moment found one in China's self-description. And then the second is the issue of international politics, and part of it is the ways that it brought all kinds of stories that people would not have been able to access a long time ago, brought it through time and space quickly. So, for example, at that time, there were so many reports of Chinese racism against Africans, like barring Africans from their McDonald's, alleging that Africans were carriers of the disease. And some of these stories were so many that the Nigerian Congress had to invite the Chinese envoys in Nigeria to come and explain themselves why they were so racist against Nigeria. And so that also drove part of the sentiment against China. And then the third factor is the local politics and the way it interfaces with global factors. And so here's one quick example. When Donald Trump first said he started promoting hydroxychloroquine as cure for COVID-19, some Nigerians were hospitalized because they suffered chloroquine poisoning. They took so much of it. So the question is, why is it that a US president said something and then in this another corner of the world, some people took so much of it that they ended up in poison? And so this is a bit of a complex politics, but let me say that because of politics of ethnicity and religion, Trump is very popular among Nigerian Christians, a section of Nigerian Christians who blame him for the Nigerian 2015 elections. They blame him because they believe that he supports abortion and is against abortion and gay marriage. And so he is the one that will reinstitute Christian ethics in America. And so there is that factor. And then there is the fourth factor that ties all of this thing together. So the fact is that new technology generally will generate moral panic in people, especially that technologies will change the structures of our relationship to time, to space, to people, and even our religious belief. All right, so it's connecting people, everyone and everywhere together, machines, objects, devices at this supersonic speed. And we're told that it's going to change the world as we know it. And all of these things brought fear and moral panic. Naturally, it does. But the problem again was that it was China that was ahead of the US in this technology, and it unsettled a lot of people because they already see them as very racist and exploiters of Africa. And so there was so much conflation of Christianity, social conscience, issues of democracy, and there was an intense level of resistance to China by this group of Christians. And because of that, you have people that were already saying like, let's pray against this new thing that is happening by resisting the dragon from the east. And by doing that, they are taking sides against one, it is taking sides against one and taking sides with another. And the thing about that, what it concludes is if there is ever going to be that Cold War between the US and China that will ever be fought again, we know that that's what these prayers of spiritual warfare that people have prayed and they do pray regularly will play a major factor in how policies and sentiments and sensibilities will be decided. Now, we don't know whether the Cold War has started or not, or whether COVID-19 will lead to another one. But it is the fact that prayers, the way people deploy their prayers, has a very important role to play in how they will take sides and how this will end. Thank you very much for listening. Yes.